Alright everyone, so this lesson is going to be combined together so I'll have two videos for this, 8.2 and then 8.3. So we're going to be looking at two things. One's two-way tables, and then the other is something called conditional probability. So first off, what we're going to do is we're going to look at 8.2 for two-way tables. So what we've looked at until now is just simple probabilities, flipping a coin, rolling a dice, where there's only one outcome or one variable that you want to look at. But oftentimes there's more than one variable. When there are two variables that we want to analyze, oftentimes we got to use something called a two-way table. And what I did is I went through my 8A students and I went through and found in each class, A1, A2, A3, A4, how many total students there were, and then how many of them were male and female. So here we have this organized. So we can see that in my A1 class there was 24 students, 14 males, 10 females. In my A2, 35 total with 12 males, 23 females. In A3, 35 again with 10 males, 25 females. And then in A4, we had 20 total with 19 males and 8 females. So one thing interesting with this table is that we can see the total number in each class, but also we can find the total number of males. So there was 45, and then the total number of females, there were 69. And then we can tell the total number of students altogether was 114. Okay, so now what we can do is we can use this table to help us to determine our probabilities. So if I was just to put all the names of my students into a hat and pick out one name, what would be the probability of picking these different things? So remember, to find our probability, we have to do we have to divide our desired outcome by our total outcome. Okay, and so let me just erase all this from the table up here so that way we can best determine this. So here, let me zoom out to see if I can keep the table in there. So we have these different probabilities. First off, it's the probability of picking a male. Okay, so our total number of outcomes would be our total number of students, which is 114. So all of these would actually be out of 114. Because we're not slimming our total down, which that is actually something that we'll be looking at with conditional probability. But stay tuned. Okay, and then we want to find the probability of picking a male, so we got to look at the total number of males that there are in my 8A classes, and that's 45. So this would be 45 out of 114, and then we got to see if we can reduce that. So each of those is divisible by 3, so we would have 15 out of, let's see, 38, I think. Let's see. Yay, 38. Which is the same as, let's go, 39.47%. Okay, and then we want to look at the probability of picking a female, and we see that there's 69 females, so our probability would be 69 out of 114, and we want to reduce that as well, so we would have 23 out of 38, which gives us 60.53%. And we go along with that for the rest of these ones. So the probability of A1, so we see that there's 24 students in A1, so this would be 24 out of 114, which would be 8 out of 38, which is 4 out of 19, and so which would be 21.05%. Probability of A4, there's 20 total students in A4, so we'd have 20 out of 114, which would be 10 out of 57, and we get 17.54%. Okay, now here we get to our unions and intersections. So intersections are probably the easier one of the two because we can get it directly from the table. So we want to find the probability of picking a male randomly out of our hat, and that male needs to be from A3. So what we can do is we can look at our males and how many of them are in A3, which is 10. So our probability would be 10 out of 114, or 5 out of 57, or, that's wrong. 8.77%. Okay, and now we can do A2 and female. So we look at A2, look at female, that would be 23. So we do 23 out of 114, which would be the same as 20.18%. Okay? Alright, so then we look at these last two. We got our unions. So we want to find the total of A1 or A2. So both of those are fine. So if the student's in A1, it's fine. If the student's in A2, it's fine. So here we know that there's 24 students in A2 or in A1, 35 students in A2. So we can just add that together to get 59 out of 114, or 51.75%. So that's one of the easier unions. Here, now we got to look at A3 or male. So the amount of males, so if they're a male, it's fine. We're okay with that. Actually, we're okay with whatever gender they identify with, but that's what we're looking for on this one, is A3 or male. So if we look at our total of males, we have 45, okay? But one thing to keep in mind is that 45 is the sum of all of these numbers right here. So 14 plus 12 plus 10 plus 9 gives us 45. And now we also want to see of A3, and that's 35. So remember that that number is the sum of these two, 10 and 25. So if we add those together, we would get 45 plus 35, we'd get 80. But if we look at what numbers are being added, you can see that they overlap twice at this 10. So we are basically double counting that 10. So what we need to do is actually subtract that 10 from what we found. So we would have 35 plus 45, which gave us 80 students. But now we got to take 80 and subtract 10 because we got to get rid of that double count. So we'd have 70 out of 114, which would be 35 and 57. I'll be honest, I do not know if that simplifies. I'm just going to leave it. If it does simplify, feel free to correct me. Which gives us 61.40%. So those would be the percentages, or the probability of picking each one of these options. Let me just, since I already boxed one, I want to box the rest of them. Okay, so that's how we use our two-way tables. Just it helps us to stay a little bit more organized with our data. Since we're not online in a class, it'll be a little hard to do this one. So what I would recommend, guys, is make sure that if you don't understand what's going on, watch this, but also check out the helpful videos that I have on the Canvas page as well. And then go ahead and watch the next video for 8.3, because that'll also be part of this lesson.